Hi, I'm Frank McDonough from the Arboretum of Los Angeles County, and this is the Questionable Botanist. You can ask me questions here about anything you can think of that's plant related. That's landscaping, insects, pests, diseases, culture. How do you grow your tomatoes? All kinds of stuff here. And today I have a couple of questions that I'm gonna go over. And the first one was somebody came in and they had a mason jar, and there was something alive inside of that mason jar, and here it is. This is what was at the bottom of that mason jar. This is a fairly large spider, 3/4 of an inch long, hairy legs, and noticeable stripes on both parts of the body there. Well, this was a pretty easy search on the internet. Turns out that this is a grass spider. Grass spiders range in size from a 1/2 inch to an inch. They can be quite imposing, but they're not poisonous. Or they may be poisonous, but the little Chelocystidea, I think they're called, which are the little fangs. Their fangs are too small to pierce human skin. So what do you do with these things? You leave them alone. They're out there catching insects, being part of the whole cycle of nature, and they are some of the natural pest control that's out there in your garden. I had another person come in, and they brought in leaves from their Bergenia crassifolia. Bergenia crassifolia is commonly known as saxifraga. And saxifraga is a low-growing, fairly large-leafed perennial that used to be used a lot in Southern California horticulture. It has pink flowers on a stem that rise above the leaves. And the reason they have fallen out of popularity, mostly because they tend to hide a lot of slugs and snails. And people these days do not like to go out snail baiting a lot. And actually, one of the best ways to control slugs and snails is to eliminate any plants that may harbor them. And this is one of them. So anyway, she brought in this leaf. Let's take a look at that leaf and notice there's damage on the leaf. These silvery patches in between the veins. A closer look at the leaf revealed these little guys. Still not close enough to see exactly what they were. I put them underneath the microscope. And voila, there they are. Notice the Y-shaped bar on the back there. These are Myoporum thrips. Myoporum thrips have been out, I think, about 3-4 years now. They attack ornamental plants of the genus Myoporum, which commonly are called myoporums. They have a genus name that's a common name. And what it does to them is, because these little critters inject a venom or toxin into the leaf, it can cause quite a bit of distortion of the leaf. That distortion can be so great sometimes that it can actually stress the plant out quite a bit and lead to its early demise. In fact, it kills off several different species of Myoporum. Some Myoporums aren't touched by this, but most of them are. Now, it's on a Bergenia. Why is it on a Bergenia if it's a Myoporum thrip? Well, Bergenia is also a host to the Myoporum thrip. Bergenia doesn't suffer as much as the Myoporums do. You still see damage on the leaves. What do you do? Well, I asked the person who brought this in what their regime was for watering, and they were watering at least 3 to 4 times a week. And they had also recently mulched this area down with relatively high nitrogen planter mix. Now, one thing, these thrips, aphids, whiteflies, and mealybugs, all these insects, feed by sucking plant juices. If the plant juices contain more nitrogen, that's more nutrition for these animals, and they tend to reproduce a lot and spread much more rapidly. So the worst thing you can do for a plant that's damaged by sucking insects is to feed it nitrogen, which is what this plant has been fed, nitrogen. As a result, a lot of damage. So what do you do? Well, one, cut back on the watering. This increases the hardness of the tissue of the leaves and makes it harder for the thrips to get in there. Two, clean off all the damage. Three, no more feeding. And four, where you can, if you can, because the thrips tend to be very stealthy. They like to hide in the growing leaf buds that are protected from sprays. So a lot of times if you spray for thrips, you won't be able to get most of them because they'll be hiding in those leaf buds and flower buds. But that is the last option too, is to spray these with a soap spray, and that will help eliminate them as well. But generally, just if you wait these things out to the hotter part of the year, which, by the way, are we going to have a hotter part of the year this year? We're sailing into August, and it's still cool in the evenings. Anyway, hopefully time will resolve this for her. And that's it for today's Questionable Botanist. I'm Frank